Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Jackie if you're new. I am a home gardener here in Zone 8A in the area of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I wanted to, I'm fertilizing my garlic right now, my garlic and onions. That's about the only thing I have in my garden at the moment to worry about. So I wanted to just show that process of what I use and how I fertilize my plants. So I use, at the moment, Neptune's Harvest. It's an organic liquid fertilizer. I really like it because it's hard to over fertilize your plants with this kind of thing. I use a sprayer, gallon sprayer. I just fill this up with a gallon of water and about, I think it says about a teaspoon of, let's see, where's the, okay, so for one, for outdoor plants, it says use 1/8 of a cup per gallon of water, and it will feed your vegetables, flowers, trees, shrubs every 1 to 2 weeks or so. So I just spray the leaves, the soil. It's best not to use any kind of fertilizer on your plants in the middle of the day, especially if it's really hot, the sun's out. It is kind of an overcast day today. The sun peeks through every so often and it's mid-60s, so it feels really good out here. So I'm okay. I feel okay using this right now. I have a few other things I want to get done as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and fertilize them now, and that'll be good enough. That's really the only fertilizer I use after I have my plants established. I do amend my beds with compost and worm castings, and I do that after or before each planting, so each season, I guess. But during the growing season, I use this liquid fertilizer. Fox Farms also has a liquid fertilizer, different types that are really good. Happy Frog by them is a good liquid fertilizer. I've only used Neptune's Harvest, so and I've had, you know, good results with it. So I don't completely measure this. I just sort of eyeball what would be a good amount. And then I just fill this up. And then I just spray this on everything that I've got. Soil, the leaves, doesn't matter. If it's the heat of the day, you know, the afternoon, it's really hot out, it could burn the leaves of your plants. So you wouldn't want to do that, you know, at that time of day, but it's okay, even though it's around 1 in the afternoon right now. It's not hot out at all, and it's mostly cloudy today, so I will set you guys up and we'll go ahead and feed the garlic. They're just looking kind of yellow, but they're growing really well. The same with the onions. So let's take a quick look. Okay. So here's the garlic, and you can just see there's yellowing, you know, at the bottom still, but overall they look really healthy. Some are a little closer. I think they got moved around either by squirrels, or I get squirrels that like to dig in here, or it just shifted with like the rain and everything. But we did get a good couple of inches of rain the other day, because I actually haven't come out here to physically water them since we've had several days of rain. But it's a little over 2 inches. Wow. Get that back in there. There we go. But the garlic is looking really good, just besides the yellowing. So I'm just going to give it a good boost of nutrients. This is the best my garlic has looked. Last year they were dead before they got to this point, so they look good. The onions are looking good, and I spaced them out way more probably than you would normally do it, but I wanted to make sure I got some good big onions. I've got 3 beds of those. This one, a couple of them broke. We had some really crazy winds, and I think a squirrel gets in here and tries to dig around. But overall, they're looking pretty good. So I'm gonna set you up, and I'm gonna fertilize these. Let's see. Scoot you back a little bit. All right, so I have fertilized all of these buckets. So I will do that again next week. I did put a little bit in this bucket because I still have the thyme in here. The kale is still growing, surprisingly, but I do have the thyme in here. I still have these kale plants, and this one has finally flowered a little bit. The other one's starting to. And then of course we have all of these flowers, and I just have a ton of bees still. They're just loving all of this, and I enjoy watching them, so I've left them so that these bees can have something to eat. Oh, and there's a little. I do have a bunch of flowers up front. Here, let me turn you around. I do have a bunch of flowers out front that I've planted near my mailbox. I've got some pansies still left, as well as some hyacinth that have recently come up. And they're really pretty blooms, bright pink, purple, blue, or like a violet, I guess. But they're really pretty, and the bees love that little section too by the mailbox. I have another area where I planted some iris bulbs, as well as some dahlias and some dahlia tubers, and what was the other, kind of a pollinator mix. It's got echinacea, phlox, I think, a couple of flowers that I haven't even heard of really, but it's supposed to be good for pollinators. And I just got bags of bulbs at our local Aldi, and put all those bulbs in over the weekend because it was wonderful weather to do that. So hopefully those will pop up. I think it said maybe about July. So those will be really pretty if I put them in correctly and they survive. But I wanted to get those garlic and onion buckets fertilized. And now I think I'm going to start some more seeds. This week I'm supposed to start some Tom Thumb dwarf peas, some zinnias, as well as some marigolds. I think that's all that's on the planting for this week to start those seeds. And next week, I think it's next week, the week of the 16th, whatever weekend that is, I will be starting cucumbers and squash. I'm really excited about that because I think I'm going to try to do some hanging baskets of cucumbers, little muncher cucumbers. I'm going to hang those maybe up front on the front porch. That'll be kind of fun. And I think I'm going to try just different ways to grow cucumbers, with some trellises, with some T-posts, and I will maybe put some in these grow bags. Still haven't quite nailed down exactly what I'm going to do as far as where I'm putting everything, but I'm really excited to try get cucumbers growing and some zucchini because we love zucchini as well. So I will get my stuff out to start seeds, and I'll probably hop on back here and have you tag along with me while I do that. Alright guys, I am now, I've got my green stalk here, and I've taken it apart, all the tiers. And what I'm going to do is amend all of these tiers with just some compost and some worm castings. And I've taken out all the lettuce that was growing in here. It did okay, but I just wasn't fertilizing it as much as I should have, and the containers especially need to be fertilized often because the only nutrients that they have is what's inside these containers. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to put the compost on top, put some worm castings on, and I'm going to go ahead and direct sow the Tom Thumb dwarf peas. And not every single one of these containers, just a few. This bottom layer, I've got some parsley that's growing pretty well. So I'm probably going to just put some compost around it, put some worm castings on, and then when it gets a little bit warmer, I will direct seed some more parsley. I might even try to do that now and see if it sprouts. This actually took a long time to sprout up, and I just happened to look one day and I was like, oh, I have parsley. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I just have some mushroom compost that I like to use in the regular beds that I have. I will do a mixture of the mushroom compost and some cow manure. I have cow manure, I just don't feel like going to get it right now, so I will just use the mushroom compost in this with the worm castings, and we will start to direct seed some peas. So let's get started. When you fill up your green stalks, you want the soil to be at the on the inside of each container. There is a line where you want it to fill up because it will compact with the water and just over time. So you want the soil to be filled up to the top. I'm just going to gently put some of this compost around the parsley. This is the watering reservoir. The water trickles down from the top, and there's little holes in each section, so you just line up the holes with each container. But since it is so nice outside right now, I really wanted to be out here doing something. It's not too hot, and it's a good time to be outdoors. So I've got the mushrooms in. I use, hopefully you can see this. Let me just check, yeah. I use Dr. Verm's worm castings. I just found this online on Amazon. And I just sprinkle some of this on top. I don't do a whole lot. I just do a little bit around. And make sure my holes are lined up. So that is the bottom tier. I do have the wheels on it. Cat is playing with my seed packets, so I will be right back. Kind of hard to get these lined up when they're full because they're kind of heavy, but so in the past, I have used containers. As I mentioned in one of my first videos, I started with containers on my apartment balcony, and I didn't know much about soil, about caring for soil, feeding your soil, anything like that. I learned over time from watching other people. And when I first started with container gardening, I would just buy whatever potting soil I could find and, you know, use it in my containers. And after the season of growing whatever it is I had in there, I would just leave my containers on the porch, you know, say it was like over winter. Nothing would be in these containers, just the soil, and I would just leave it there. I wouldn't water it, wouldn't really take care of it or anything. And by the time I wanted to grow something else, say the next spring, the soil would be, you know, really dry, hard as a rock. You could really pull it out of the container in just one big clump. And so I would throw it away, the whole thing, empty the whole pot, and I would go buy a new bag of soil and fill it back up. What I have since learned from watching other YouTubers and, you know, reading books and looking on the internet and stuff is that you don't have to get rid of your whole container of soil. You just need to take care of it. And then, as I'm doing now, you can just keep using the soil that's in there and just amend on top and continue to feed that soil. So this is why I'm putting down about 1 inch or 2 of some compost. I'm putting down some worm castings. I've been watering these containers, these grow bags and containers. If it hasn't rained, I've just been watering every so often to keep the soil, you know, nice and wet so it doesn't get hydrophobic. If you get hydrophobic soil, it's not going to retain any water. The water is just going to go straight through it, and you're still going to end up with dry looking soil. So if you take care of it, you feed your soil, you want living organisms in your soil. Now these containers aren't necessarily going to get worms in them, but my grow bags, I have seen worms in my grow bags, and I'm sure if this container was sitting on the ground, I still don't think I'd get worms in it. But you want living organisms in your soil. They're going to help, you know, feed your plants. When organisms decay, that's just adding back nutrients to your soil over time. So you just want to take care of it. So that's why I'm adding the compost. I'm adding the worm castings, and I'm going to fertilize it as I get things going. I'm going to fertilize my plants every week. That way I just keep feeding the soil. So don't throw out the soil in your containers. Just keep watering it, keep feeding it, and you won't have to buy new bags every season like I was doing at the beginning. So now I have learned with the green stalks, instead of direct seeding things, I think I have something in my eye. Instead of direct seeding now, where I don't have the next layer on top, I wait to direct seed things when I get them stacked, because I have direct seeded. You want to put your seeds in at the end or on the outside of this container. If you put it too far in, it's going to be covered. So as you see, you can see with these parsley plants, let's see if I can bring in here. With these parsley plants, I've put the seeds right at the edge so that they don't get stuck underneath here. But they're doing really well. And this compost is really nice, fine, broken down. So I'm just gonna keep filling the containers up with some compost and worm castings. I'll get it stacked, and then I'm gonna decide where I'm gonna put the dwarf peas in. I might only do one tier, because I also want to plant some I have some dwarf sweet alyssum that's only supposed to be like 2 inches tall. So I might put some of that in here for a little bit of color. I think I'll finish the parsley in the bottom tier. I have 3 other sections that are empty on the bottom. Okay, so I've got my dwarf peas here, and they are supposed to get about 13 to 18 inches tall. So I think I'm going to do this next tier up of the dwarf peas, just so anything above here can still get some sun. And I'll have the parsley at the bottom, but that'll be fine. So I think I'm gonna do this next tier of dwarf peas, and I'm just gonna sow 1 seed per container. They're just like little peas. So I'm just gonna stick it at the end. Here, let me bring this over here so you can see. Okay, so this container right here. So you want to plant twice as deep as the seed is wide, so that's pretty decent size. I'm going to plant right in the middle, close to the end. I'm going to just press a little hole, press it down in there, and then cover it up. And I'm just going to do 1 seed per container, because I've never grown these before. And I'm going to stick the marker where I know I started, and I'm just going to do 1 little marker. And I'm just going to work my way around. 1 little hole. one little seed. One little hole. Too many. And that's where I started. So that is all I'm going to direct sow now, are just these Tom Thumb dwarf peas. And now I'm going to water this container from the top. And you just fill up the water until you can hear it draining. You'll be able to see it draining. Well, I filled these up quite a bit, but as the soil kind of settles, you'll be able to see a little stream of water. And then once it comes down through here, it'll fill up that next little tray that's underneath. Fill up the next tier and all the way down the bottom. And then there is a hole. Let's see if I can find it. Say you were to have this on your porch or something where you don't want water to collect, there is a drainage hole down here. They give you a tube that you can attach to it so that you can, you know, direct it off of your porch or wherever you happen to have your deck or something. Since I really don't care if water gets in this pavement or on these bricks, I don't need to attach that hose here. But it is all filled up. I've got the compost, the worm castings on it. I've direct sown these peas. So now I'm just going to water the top. And I think what I'm going to do next, probably won't clear these out. I cut the cabbages off at the base, but they're starting to try to grow back. So I'll probably cut it off a little bit deeper. The other ones are fine, but these two are trying to grow. Look at that. It's trying to grow new cabbage leaves. But I think I'm going to go ahead and amend this veggie pod. This is where I had my carrots. And I'm going to probably amend this one as well. Have some kale plants that are just left in here, as well as some old spinach. Probably going to amend this. Put the compost on top. Worm castings the same. I have more leaves up front that I could add to my onion beds. I don't have any kind of mulch down or anything for those, but I'm just going to amend these two. And then after that, I'm probably going to after that, I'm probably going to fill up some of my empty pots with some of the potting soil that I just got this past weekend. I want to I have a whole bunch of pots, different sizes, and I'd like to fill all of those up and get them ready for some flowers. I might do a dwarf tomato of a different type and put it on this rack that's inside my screened in area. I might try to see how a dwarf tomato does right here, because it does get full sun for pretty much all morning into the early afternoon like now. So I kind of want to play around with my containers this year, do a lot of flowers, and see if I can keep them alive. I've never been that great with flowers. But so far, the ones I planted near my mailbox are looking great, and they were from bulbs. I've never planted flower bulbs before, but they've done really well. So I'm excited for this growing season. So far, things for the 2024 garden season have done way better than any year before. And that was the, these veggie pods are great, but the tops like to blow over when it's super windy. But anyway, but yeah, so let's get to work on watering this container, and I'm going to start filling up some pots. All right, just put water in the top, and I did go ahead and do a light spray on all of the containers themselves. I don't know if you can see in there. Oh yeah, there's water dripping. See? So now they've, you know, it's filled up that reservoir. It's going to drip here into these containers, and it's just working its way down. There's a stream of water back there to the left. So now, if I were to find, see water's coming out the bottom? That's what you want to look for. So it's made its way all the way down to each container. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the spider web. I like spiders in my garden, but I don't really want it on this tower if I can help it. So yeah, I love a green stalk, and hopefully this year I can get each container filled with either food or flowers, because it really is a great way to grow some food for you, some ornamental flowers, that kind of thing. So I have noticed with my videos, at least a couple of them, the camera view, when I look at the camera to record something, I can see me, I can see what I'm doing on the screen. But for some reason, when I go to edit it and it uploads to YouTube, somewhere, I guess, maybe the view that I see is not really what it's recording. Because my last sourdough video, I only see from here down. And you can't even see my eyes through half the video. So I apologize if you made it through that video. It was quite a long one. But I apologize that the camera view has like cut off the top half of my head through most of it, and it's a really close view. So I'm still working out the kinks of recording videos on my phone. So I apologize if the view is a little off a lot of times, but I hope you can still hear me and see what I'm doing and get some good stuff from the videos. So I am putting the mushroom compost in these veggie pods now, and I will add some of the black cow manure that I have as well. I kind of like to mix a good bit of each together. I just found some worms that were underneath a grow bag, and I just kind of put them in this veggie pod. So they can get to work doing what they do. But I like to mix just a little bit of each thing. I don't stick to just one type of compost or amendments. I've just left the old carrots that were only, you know, like half an inch big. I've just left them in this bed to decompose. That'll just add back to the soil as well. I'm gonna open this black cow manure. I really like this black cow manure because it doesn't smell. And instead of picking this whole bag up, I'm just going to get a bunch of it. I don't mind the smell of cow manure, but I don't like it when it smells like that in my car when I have to transport this. So but it's a really nice, dark, rich cow manure. And then, just like the container, I will sprinkle some of these worm castings on top. And then I will water it in once I do this other one. I need to, let's see, might just switch views. Yeah. Camera's kind of sinking in. I need to make sure it doesn't fall over. I do need to take out these little spinach plants that are left. Normally I'd let these decompose in the veggie pod, but I am going to just take these out. I will cut this kale off at the base. I need to get something to do that. I am using, I think it's called a hori knife. It's a Japanese tool. I like this because it has measurements on the blade when you're wanting to plant something, and it has this knife edge. So my dad got this for me. I really like cutting off things with this tool. It's kind of an all-in-one. I am leaving the roots in there. Those will break down over time. And I'm just going to put the compost on top of these leaves. Kind of a big chunk of bark. I'm just going to break up. that smells a little bit. I guess it doesn't smell super strong, but it does have a little bit of a smell. All right, I am going to water these right now, just because I added all of this stuff to it. Let's get this hose. Whoop! Just got my camera all wet. It's okay. All right, so I'm gonna water this in now, since I just put this amendment on. It is supposed to rain here, I believe, on Wednesday. Today's Monday. So I'm not going to go through and water everything else, because it did just rain a couple days ago. But these are now ready for planting. Next, I will do these grow bags. Probably not right now, but the next thing I will amend and get ready to plant things in will be these grow bags. And then I'll work on those 3 beds and the 2 buckets that don't have anything in it but the thyme. I will work on those closer to transplanting time, which will be in a couple weeks for some things. Well, I guess about four weeks from now, I'll be putting my peppers and tomatoes out in those beds. So I don't need those just yet. I'll leave those alone, but I'll do the grow bags next. I am going to work on filling some pots up to put on these racks. I need to kind of amend this. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. I'll probably put that on my front porch. Although it does work right here, it kind of holds the sunflower sign up. So we'll see, but I do need to add some soil to that. I had some sort of flower in here and they didn't do so well on my apartment balcony, so I just let them kind of dry out and die. And I actually haven't really watered this soil. This soil would be probably considered hydrophobic at this point. But I'm just going to add some new soil on top, as well as a little bit of compost, some fertilizer, and we'll get this soil back to being able to hold water. But I think that's what I'm going to do now, is start to fill up some pots to put on these racks right here. And I've got that big pot out here that I would like something in. Maybe some flowers at this point, maybe some dahlias or some zinnias. I've got this pot over here that I got at an estate sale, actually. And it had a, what did we call this? A hosta in it that died over the winter. I'm not, well, it might be trying to grow back. I've got a little green sprout right there. So I might leave this and see if I can get this hosta to regrow. I might trim this down and see. I've actually never had hostas before, so we'll see if I can get this to regrow. If not, I'll maybe go buy one and put it in here. But I think that's what I want to work on now, is filling up some pots to put over here. And I've got some on the front porch. I've got all of these little ones that I would like to use this year. I've got some in there, and I think I might have some little ones in here. No, I think I took them all out. But anyway, I have a whole lot of pots that I'd like to fill up. I've got a hummingbird feeder that I want to get out. We had hummingbirds at our apartment. Our building was right behind a little section of woods, and we had hummingbirds that would come to this feeder. And even though we don't have any trees, we have a couple of neighbors that have some big trees and things. So I'm hoping, and there's a whole bunch of woods along the end, so I'm hoping that we might get some hummingbirds here. That would be really cool. So, alright guys, the sun is out. I wanted to show you these flowers I keep talking about in my video. So I had planted the bulbs back in the fall for these hyacinths, and then I went and bought some pansies, I think maybe at Lowe's, because I wanted some flowers in there over the winter time, and they did really well. Some are looking a little better than others now, but these hyacinths have come up, and look how pretty those are. I've got a lighter purple here, I've got a dark bluish purple. These have just opened. These are a light kind of pale pink. I've got some hot pink here, which are, I think, my absolute favorite. These are really pretty. I've never grown these before, but they're just popping up all over the place. I can't remember how many bulbs I planted, but I have some that haven't opened yet. I've still got some pansies that are doing pretty well, since we still have some cooler nights. And I had no clue what the colors were when I planted them, other than, you know, I knew the colors, I just didn't know what bulbs obviously were which color. But they have, I think I did a pretty good job of spreading the colors out. Pink is my favorite, I think. But I've still got some pansies. These are still looking really good. But these hyacinths are absolutely beautiful, and the bees just love this too. They've been out here each evening just loving these flowers. So I just wanted to show you all that, because they are gorgeous. And I haven't really shown you all the front. I've got a citrus tree that I've been keeping in the garage over the winter. I bought this from a friend. It's only 3 years old, I think, or maybe this is its 4th year. I didn't get any oranges last year. I think it's kind of like a clementine or a mandarin orange. I didn't get any last year. I had a ton of flowers, but I think just on our apartment, it wasn't able to get the pollinators it needed and the sun it needed. So I'm excited to use that. I might put this in the backyard, or I might even put it on our front porch. I'll have to see. I have an aloe that I've put out here. I need to actually kind of repot a little bit, because this baby one is trying to grow now. But this is the longest plant that I've had, this aloe. It's grown quite a bit. It's doing really well. And I've also got this bed over here that I did some iris bulbs on either side, and they actually already came up, and the purple flowers already opened and bloomed. So I'm not sure if they will bloom again. I think I mentioned before, I've never done flower bulbs, so I don't think they're supposed to bloom again, which is kind of sad since I was hoping they'd open closer to when everything else comes up. These, I believe, are some lilies that were here when we moved in, and I tore the main plants out because they just looked like they had really bad disease or something. They were, dead, didn't look very good, so I just tore them out and planted these here, but those are coming up, so they might actually be really pretty since I didn't tear it all out, apparently. And in this middle section, I just planted some dahlia tubers and echinacea, like 4 different types of bulbs as well, just this past weekend. So hopefully those will pop up in the spring, or actually in July. All right, guys, I think I'm done for the day with my repotting, amending the beds and everything. So we amended the 2 veggie pods. We amended the green stalk tower. It's kind of fuzzy through the screen. So we amended the green stalk tower, planted those Tom Thumb dwarf peas. The grow bags I will do a different day. I have potted, or I have put some soil in the pots that have like a whatever you call this, drainage plate holder thing. The ones that don't have that either have no hole in the bottom, I think I got these with like a plastic container inside of it. So this is what held the water. I think I'm gonna maybe just find some flowers or something at a store and put those in these, but I need a couple of little plates to put at the bottom of some of these pots. So I didn't fill those up yet, but I filled the ones up that have that little drainage hole. I grabbed that little aloe pup and put him in here. Had never done that before, so hopefully this one will do well and survive and grow to be like the other one. I have a couple of pots here that I found, so those need to get some trays for the bottom. I put some new soil in this container. Still not sure where I want to put that container yet. I still might put it on the front porch, but for now we'll just keep it back here. Put some new soil in this hosta, and I kind of cut away all the old dead stuff. I have some new little buds that are looking like they may want to grow. There's a little one right there. So we'll see if this hosta comes back or not. And then out front, just walk through here. Out front, I put soil in these 3 pots. Those are ready. I moved this pot up here, that's ready. And I put the rest of the soil bag in this front bed where I planted these flower bulbs. So that is all I'm doing today. So thanks for tagging along with me as I fertilized my garlic and onions and amended some beds and repotted some pots, that kind of thing. And we will catch you in the next video. Subscribe below if you're new. That way you will get alerted to when I post a new video, and give a thumbs up if you liked this kind of content. And if the video quality was okay for you, still working on the camera placement. I just have to be mindful that I need to keep this at an arm's length away, and hopefully it will turn out okay on the video. So have a good evening. Well, whenever you see this, it'll probably be maybe morning on Tuesday, but I will try to get this out tomorrow morning. And if not, I hope you have a good week, and then we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.